guys, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I thought I would just do a sort of a getting ready with me, but I realized after looking at the other videos on my channel that I've never really done one where you've seen my face totally from scratch, like no products or anything, just bare face 100%. So I thought for today's video, I'm just gonna do I'm not going to do a whole complete look. I'm just going to do the parts that I normally don't do on camera. So, like all of my complexion products, I guess, and just give you an idea of what I look like underneath all the makeup, I guess. Now, I'm having a particularly not great skin day, as you can tell. So, I have generally really dry skin, for the most part. So it's feeling extra tight right now because I just had a shower. That's why my hair is wet. And I don't know if other dry skin people can relate to this, but when your face is wet from like a shower or washing your face or something, and you get out and it just tightens right up, that's how it's feeling right now. So I just wanted to give you guys a good look at how my skin really looks up close on camera before I do anything to it. So as you can see, I've got, oh, if it's gonna focus, I've got pretty big pores in this area, and then I get breakouts kind of here, and my most problem area is right here on my chin. This is for a couple of reasons. One, I do get a lot of blackheads and stuff on my chin, especially in that crease there. I guess this is probably not something most people experience just because not everyone has like a little ball chin like I do, but I have this is the shape of my chin, right? So sometimes it's harder to get a really thorough clean, I guess, right in there in the crease. I mean, I try to, but I guess I'm only assuming that the reason I get a lot of blackheads and stuff in there is because I'm not getting everything out and stuff settles into the creases and stuff. So I tend to get like quite a bit of blackheads just along that, and then this area is just, it's extra exacerbated right now because my kitty likes to bite my chin when I'm sleeping, and I sleep on this side of my face and he comes up and bites me. It's like he's a kitten, so I don't think he knows any better right now, and I'm hoping that he grows out of that phase. But the skin there is already a little bit tender, but now it's a little scabby, so it's going to be kind of hard to cover up. I might not get, you know, a perfectly clear looking face at the end of this today, but this is a particularly kind of bad skin day, I guess, for me. I've had it worse, but I've also had it a lot better. This is kind of like relatively bad. So that's what it looks like first. So the first thing I'm gonna do today is put on this this is the daytime moisturizer I use. I use like a really heavy duty, like thick, heavy moisturizer at night because my skin, like I said, is so dry. My skin gets so dry sometimes that even my eyelid skin like will flake off. It's so dry, like it'll have like a dry patch that'll just like be flaky and gross. It's not that bad right now, thank God, but it's still not great. The most dry areas I find of my skin are this kind of area, like kind of around my mouth and chin, my nose, and like between my eyebrows, kind of this area where you can see some redness and stuff. And yeah, occasionally my outer eyelids. Yeah. So I use a heavy duty moisturizer at night, and then during the day I use this one. This is from the Body Shop. It's the Seaweed Oil Control Gel Cream. I don't know if you can see that. It'd be great if my camera ever focused, like ever. There we go. So that's what it is. It says it's for combination to oily skin, which obviously I don't have, but I bought it because I like to use a moisturizer that's not gonna seep through my makeup during the day and make me look really greasy. So that's why I use this one, because I feel like it's better than nothing, but I don't want to use like one for dry skin because I find those tend to not work well underneath makeup. So this one's like a mattifying one, so I feel like it works well under makeup, and that's why I use my main like heavy moisturizer at night when it doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna apply this all over my face with my hands. That's usually my application method. I mean, it's cream, so I don't know what other people do. just getting like a fair bit of, comes in like one of those tubs, so I just kind of dig right into it. Get it all over my eyes, into my eyebrows, because sometimes my eyebrows like get a little flaky and almost dandruffy just because of the dry skin under there. So all over my face. I'm gonna put a little more on because it's feeling extra tight today. All right, now it does get a little, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little sticky at first. So I'm really gonna give it a minute to kind of soak in before I go in with my next step, which is my primer. So I'm going to pause this video, go make a coffee, and then come back when this is kind of settled into my skin a little bit and apply my primer. So I will see you guys in a minute. Okay guys, so I'm back. Just made my coffee. It's been about 10 minutes. And as you can see, when I touch my face now, there's no stickiness there. It's dried down completely. So now is when I would go in with my primer, and this is my primer. I've heard people online say this primer is bad or something, but I love it, and I've repurchased it multiple times because I like it so much. It is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. Come on, camera, don't be that way. I'm sure you guys have seen this product before. So I'll show you kind of how much I use. So I tend to use like a blob, like not super big blob, because a little bit goes a long way. And I like to start in this part of my face, just because that's where I have the biggest, like the most enlarged pores. So I just kind of use my hands again, kind of press it with a little bit of pressure into the pores just to kind of fill them if possible. Smoothing it like onto my nose and out to the outsides of my face. Now I don't put this on my eyelids because I have a separate eyeshadow primer that I use for that, which you'll see later on. So then I take another same size kind of bit and do the other side. And like that small amount is usually enough to get my entire cheeks, and then I take a little bit more again, maybe half that size, like about that much, not very much, to do like my chin. And kind of blend it down onto my neck. And then maybe a little more, maybe another about this much for my forehead down to my lip and nose area. And I kind of just take this all over. I do have quite a large forehead, so that's why I had such a big portion there. Down onto my nose again, onto my lips here. Not on my actual lips, but around my mouth. And that's kind of how that goes. So now again, I'm going to give it about 5 minutes or so. Usually what I do for this step is I get my next products ready. So I'm gonna be going in with foundation and stuff. So I'm gonna wet my sponges and get ready to apply all that. So I will be back again in another 5 minutes or so. Hey guys, okay. So one thing I forgot to say, I said before I left a second ago that I was gonna do my foundation next, and usually I do, but since my skin is so spotty today and broken out, I'm actually gonna do something first. And I only do this when I have really bad, like a really bad pimple or something, or really bad noticeable spots that I think need a little more coverage. So I'm gonna take this concealer. It is from Clinique. It is the Acne Solutions Clearing Concealer. I don't know if you can see. It's almost out. I'm really running low on it because I only sparingly use it when I have really bad spots like today. So I use this on, like, I apply this with my finger as well. I just think it's really good for, and yeah, I do it before my foundation just to kind of color correct, I guess you could say, the spots. And I don't really, like, as you can see, that's not blended very well at all, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to be putting foundation over top. So, again, not blended, but it shouldn't really be a big deal. Again, I'm just dabbing it on with my finger. Really leaving it patchy, spotty, doesn't matter. As long as it's kind of covering the bulk of the redness. Okay, so that's doing something. This isn't enough of a step on its own, obviously. It's just a preliminary thing. I have this one spot right here that I'm touching right now. You can't see it because I just covered it, but it's like a broken blood vessel, so it's always there. And so I don't go in with concealer on it every time because usually my foundation is enough to cover it. It's just like a little bit of red. Like you can see a kind of a blood vessel there. And that happened a couple of years ago, maybe. One day it just appeared and it never went away. And it's not a pimple, or it never used to be a pimple or anything like that. It was just one day there was just this weird vein that like showed up on my face. I guess that's just aging. I don't know. So not super happy about that, but it is what it is. Okay. Okay, so that's all I'm really gonna do for that step. And yeah, now I'm gonna go in with my foundation. So for my foundation, I usually mix them together. So I used to mix together these two, which is the Rimmel Stay Matte foundation, and I actually bought the wrong shade. I'm supposed to be light porcelain and I got light ivory. So whatever, they're close, so it doesn't really matter. And then the Makeup Forever one. But this one's really expensive. So I've decided to switch, and it's too yellow for me anyway. Like you can tell, it's like really yellow compared to my skin tone. Like it's too dark. So I found this one, which is a CoverGirl one, way cheaper, better color match. So I've been integrating that in. So normally I would mix together like this one, which is more of like a thick formula, full coverage, with a liquid one. But now I've been sort of switching it and doing these two. But sometimes I'll do all three kind of thing. And I just kind of have to mix it together. I just use my powder, like the lid of it, and I just squirt the stuff on there and mix it together. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just about like half and half ratio kind of thing. Doesn't have to be exact, I don't think. So I'm going to use a little bit of this just because I'm trying to use it up. It's like really almost gone. I have to shake it just to get anything out. And I'm probably not going to repurchase. It's just too expensive. Like I can't justify spending that much money on it. Okay. And then I just mix it together with my sponge. This is the Morphe and Jeffree Star sponge, and it came in like a 3-pack, one large sponge and then two like mini sponges. And if you guys have seen that on Sephora and you're contemplating getting it, you may have read some of the reviews. And I remember when I read the reviews, it said like, oh, the small ones are so small, like they're just way too small to use and stuff. And so I was worried about it a little bit. But and I think that's because whoever wrote that like didn't wet the sponge, because I'll show you. So this is a dry one of them. This is the full size, right? Wet. I wet it. And it's like the same size as a beauty blender. Actually, it's a little bigger than a beauty blender. So I don't know what they're talking about. And so I was like, okay, they must be talking about the small ones. And the small ones, this is a dry one and this is a wet one. So as you can see, they started out the exact same size. So they really do like almost double in size. So I think whoever wrote that review was just like trying to use it dry or something. And I always use mine like damp. So it's really not that small at all. Like it's like small enough that it works really well for like my concealer. That's what I use it for. And then I use the big one for like the rest of my face. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you in case you were reading the reviews and being like, should I? Like maybe it's gonna be like miniature, but like it's really not that small. It's not. All right, so I'm gonna take the big one. I usually use the pointed end and mix together these foundations. And then I always, for some reason, start with my cheeks. That's just the way I do it. So I kind of blot some on both cheeks and then kind of pick one and work my way out. Just kind of patting it into the skin. Now I do have a few breakouts here by my hairline, but I'm not going to try and get too close in there because my hair is there and it's going to get all gunky and gross. I don't like to get makeup into my hair, obviously. But I do like to blend it out down onto my neck as much as possible so that there's like no harsh line. And yeah, I actually really prefer this sponge over the Beauty Blender because it's a little bit denser and not quite as, I don't know, I find it like gets the product more evenly onto my skin, whereas the Beauty Blender kind of just stayed really wet even when like I dampened it and then squeezed it all out, but it still, I felt like it held a lot more water. I don't know why. That's just was my experience with it. And it's more expensive, so hey, this one's better. I will let you guys know that the more expensive foundation, the Makeup Forever one, has like no smell to it. Whereas when I switched to this one just recently, I did notice this one does have a smell to it. It kind of smells like not in a good way, like not a scent, but like a smell. So it's, I don't really mind it. It kind of smells like a pool, like it smells like chlorine-ish. So, I mean, some of you may be put off by that, and that's something to consider if you're like kind of adverse to smells in your makeup or whatever, but it doesn't really bother me. I kind of like the smell of pools. Like, it smells like a pool, like lobby, you know, like when you go into like a pool, like the community pool or something, and you walk in the door of like the community center, it kind of has that faint like pool smell. That's kind of how it smells. Okay. This part sort of takes a while. It's probably the longest part, but especially when you have such a big forehead like I do, it takes a while to get all that surface area covered. And I kind of go like right over my eyebrows and even like a little bit over my eyes just to get even coverage like along the bridge of my nose, because this sponge is really big. I mean, obviously I'm going to switch to the little one in a second, but so as you can see from up close, like because I pinch my eyes closed and go over it, it's like leaving all this. So I just kind of like rub those creases in with my finger. Okay. So that's how that's looking. Now, since I'm on camera, if I was gonna be like true beauty guru fashion, then I would probably cake on more and more and more just to get like the most full coverage, because you can still see some of my blemishes underneath. But I don't like to do that because I feel like, yeah, it looks better on camera, but in real life, like it's just way too much and like it looks cakey and terrible. So I don't do that. I just let it be. If I need to, I'll go over each individual spot that I still see. Like I see one right there. Might just go over that with some concealer afterwards. Okay, so this is where I'm at for this stage. And then as you can see, there's like that crease where my nose meets my face that like has no product on it. And it looks like really weird and gross. So that's kind of when I use this guy. And I just take whatever's left of my concealer that's on here into the pointy part, like the flat end. Just get a little bit on there, and then I just pack it into the area where it's kind of unblended in my nose, and just kind of pat it in over the side of my nose to kind of get rid of that harsh line there. See, that's one thing I really like about this set of sponges, because it did come with the minis, because I think if I try to do that with the big one, it's going to be huge. Like, it's like taking over half my face. I just want like a little tiny edge to go in there into my nose. Crack. Okay, there we go. So that's where I'm at now. I'm gonna, normally again, I don't usually do this, but I am going to put a tiny couple of dots of concealer just over top of some of those blemishes that I still see. So there's one here, kind of, one here. You know what, it's not too bad, honestly, because this isn't even my final step, so you'll see why it's not going to be that bad, but I'm just going to kind of dot that in. This is kind of a brightening concealer. It's not the same one that I used before, and I probably should have used the other one because that actually kind of made it worse. So let me go back in with this one, the Clinique one. It's like more full coverage, and it's more of a color match to my foundation instead of being a brightening one. So I'm going to use that instead. And just use my finger. That's better. Now it is a little more obviously important to get a good blend, whereas before I was going over it with foundation, so this time I'm going to be a little more careful about the placement and making sure that I blend it out as much as possible. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I see a bit of redness here I'm just going to go over. There's no actual blemish, but it's just red. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Just gonna wipe my sort of pans off. Okay, so now that I'm at this phase, the next thing I do is under eye concealer, and that's where I use this brightening one. This is the, again, Rimmel Stay Matte brand or line, and it is a soft matte concealer. It says full coverage, but it's not really that full coverage. I wouldn't call it that. So that's this one. Come on, camera. Don't be a dick. Whatever, you get it. I'm sure you'll find it in the stores. So a lot of people like to do like a lot of concealer, like all the way under on both sides. I tend to just take it right over the bag, I guess you could say, like the under eye bag. I don't like to get it too close to under my eyes just because it's like really settles into my creases there. So I just kind of go like there. And then I take this little guy, flat end up, so I can get sort of tight under my eye and just kind of blend that up and out, kind of up the side of my nose. And it does brighten it a little bit. Now this side is looking like pretty red here. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just gonna put a little dot more just to, I don't usually do that, but just to correct it a little bit. There we go. And then I usually put like a tiny bit on my nose and then just kind of right here, because I do have a bit of darkness like between my eyebrows. Kind of blend that out. There we go. So that's kind of all I do for like concealer. And now that we're at this phase, you can see my skin still doesn't look like super flawless. And it probably won't today because it's so broken out, but that's where my kind of last step comes in for skin, which is the powder, but I'm going to tell you first, I do my eyebrows. I like to do them first before I set the face, just because it gives it a chance for it to like sort of settle in, and I don't know, I just find it easier to do this like this order. So I'm just using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade medium brown. So I don't get super creative with my eyebrows or anything. I'm not super good at doing eyebrows. So I just really fill in the shape that's already there. I don't try and go all funky with it. So it's kind of good. Just kind of darkening up what's already there. And then, of course, I use the spoolie on the other end to just kind of brush it through. Because sometimes it can be a little too harsh. Yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. So same thing on the other side. Ooh, I just did a really big line at the bottom there. That's not what I meant to do. That's okay. Unfortunately, like, my eyebrows never look the same. Like, I feel like I'm the worst at creating any sort of illusion of symmetry because my face is already not really symmetrical, so it's like the makeup's supposed to help with that, and I'm just not the best at making that happen, but I try. Oh, I just, yeah. This one I feel like is a little too dark at the front. I'm gonna try and sort of pull that through. Sometimes this doesn't go exactly how I want it to, but you know what? I feel like that's good enough. I'm not super picky about my brows. I kind of hate doing them. I just do them to get them out of the way. Okay, so that's how that's looking. Brows on. They're a bit dark today, but I'm being lazy and doing this kind of quickly. Okay, so then the last, I'm not including like blush and like bronzer and stuff in my face part today because I always do that at the end for some reason. When I say the end, I mean the end like after my eyes are done and everything. So that's why I'm not doing it. But the next thing I do before I do my eye look is the powder. Sorry, there's still some foundation on the lid from where I was mixing it, but this is the Body Shop. It's normally not this dirty. Like I said, I used it to mix foundation on top, but it's the Body Shop all-in-one face base in the shade number 3. And I just use a powder puff. That's not what comes with it. I buy these separate from the drugstore to apply it. But this is, I feel like, the magic for my skin because, I don't know, it's called an all-in-one face base, so maybe it's like a powder foundation, I don't know, but I put it on top, which some people might think is a bit cakey and whatever, but I feel like I like the way it ends up looking because it really smooths everything out. I don't like use a ton of other powders. I never do actually. This is like my go-to powder, so just kind of slap that on. Sometimes I rub it sort of in side-to-side motions, and other times I just pat it. It depends. Kind of depends how I'm feeling. And whereabouts on my face it is. And I like to do it like literally all over my face, set my concealer under my eyes with it, over my nose with it, just pretty well everywhere. Okay, so, see this giant crater in my face? It's the worst. I think it's just an acne scar. Oh my god, I can't talk. An acne scar? I don't know. It's always been there, like for years, like probably for like a decade. It's just always been there. Sometimes it looks more noticeable than others. I don't know why. Because like in some videos I don't even see it, and then in other videos it's like, oh my god, I have a hole in my face. But yeah, it's just always there. It's just like a literal crater in my face, but you know, it is what it is. Can't really do much about that. So anyway, that's the finished base to my makeup routine. So in case you guys were wondering, so usually when I start a video, this is where I'm at. And then I just do my eye look from there. But I decided to do the other way around today and just kind of show you guys the beginning. And also usually when I'm doing my eye makeup, I put on like a lip balm just to get my lips ready so that by the time I'm done my eye look, the lips are kind of ready for lipstick so they're not all like crusty and, you know. So yeah, I hope you guys kind of got something out of this video. I don't know. In case you're interested in any of these products, maybe I can. Now you see how they look on me. How it's kind of covered up most of my acne. It covers up the color, but as you can see, when you get up close, you can still very much see the texture of the breakouts, and I don't think any kind of makeup would do anything about that, honestly, because how would it? But anyway, this is what I do. This is what works for me. So so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.